I've been writing for 20 years and I finally was like, I've been teaching and writing and I know I have this system and I just need to sit down and articulate it. And I finally did. So it is an acronym for finish. And the first letter is for fake stakes.
ADHD Rewired, episode 560. Since 2014, this has been the podcast for ADHD adults who have really good intentions and a slightly wandering attention. I'm Eric Tivers. I'm a licensed clinical social worker by training and a coach by design. I'm your host, and I'm ADHD. ADHD Rewired is more than just a podcast. You can learn about our coaching and accountability groups, our virtual co-working community, and more. All at ADHDrewired.com. We are wired for connection, and you are not alone. Learn more about our offerings, including our quarterly live Q&As. Get additional resources for every episode, including links to any resources we mention on today's show. You can support us on Patreon, sign up for our email newsletter, and more. All at ADHDrewired.com. And if this is your first time listening, welcome. Don't forget to hit subscribe or follow on your podcast app so you never miss an episode. We know that starting is the hardest part, so let's get started. Hey, just a quick time-sensitive note before we jump in. Registration for our winter coaching and accountability groups ends Friday, January 30th. We got registration events coming up Thursday, January 22nd and the 29th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, and Friday, January 23rd and the 30th at 11:30 a.m. Eastern. Groups begin the first week in February. If you're ready to get the support and accountability you need to live your best ADHD life, your next step is pre-registration. It only takes about 20 to 30 minutes. Watch the 15-minute overview, take the short quiz, and send a 45-second video. To attend the Thursday registration events, pre-registration is due by 4:30 p.m. Eastern on that Thursday. To attend the Friday morning events, pre-registration is due Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern. All the details, including the full schedule, are at coachingrewired.com. That's coachingrewired.com. More info at the break. All right, let's get to it. Welcome back to another episode of ADHD Rewired. Today's guest is Paulette Perhach. Paulette is a regular contributor to the New York Times with work in Vox, Elle, the Washington Post, Slate, and more. Her viral essays have reached over 2 million readers. Author of Welcome to the Writer's Life, a poet's and writer's best book for writers. She blogs at welcometotherwriterslife.com and leads writing and meditation sessions through a very important meeting. As a writing coach, she helps writers build fulfilling careers and creative lives. And I think you also do software development for writers. And we're going to talk today about 6 elements that you've come up with to finish anything.
Mm-hmm.
So welcome.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, welcome to the podcast. And hopefully now with the kind of third time of reading your bio, it was a little bit smoother because I had an error within like 2 minutes. So let's take 3. Here we go. Before we dive into 6 elements to finish anything, why don't you share a little bit about who you are personally?
So I am a writer with ADHD. I was only diagnosed when I was 38 and I'm 42 now. I did a class last year called Harnessing ADHD's Wild Horsepower for Writers. And just doing that class actually helped me learn so much about being a writer and just really changed how I see myself. I am as much of a success as I am a failure. And I think that's the thing about ADHD is like it's like the superpower and the kryptonite in one. So you just never quite know how your day is going to go. And I think getting a diagnosis and an education just totally helped free me from the shame of the like, why do I do this? And why can't I that? And really expecting myself to be like other people. For example, one thing that I say to myself is my version of consistency is that I get back up every time I fall down.
I love that. You're saying it a little bit differently than I do, but I have the exact same message as well. Because it's like, it's not, I look at consistency as sort of that lagging indicator, like focus on where you're at. So if you're down, focus on getting back up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's great. What was it that brought you to focus on sort of helping writers?
Well, I am a teacher's daughter. And my mom taught first grade and, elementary school. And I am not like a small people in groups kind of person. Like I love my friends' kiddos and my nieces and nephews. I'm not I could not control a room full of children. But when I did Peace Corps, I realized we were there as teachers, but in adult education. And I really fell in love with adult education there. And we writers have to kind of figure out how are we going to make this life work. And that was a skill that I really enjoyed and got some great feedback on. And so that's such a wonderful part of my writing life. It's a really great part of having community too as a writer. I'm a really social writer.
Okay. When you say you're a social writer, say more about that.
So I came across this word ambivert in the book Creativity by Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, the guy who created the concept of flow. And I had never heard about that before because I'm so obviously an extrovert that but then I would be like, well, why do I really I would feel just kind of scraped out like, oh my God, I need to be alone for a while. But that felt really weird to me because I'm an extrovert, right? And then I learned about this term that means that you are equal parts introverted and extroverted. And a lot of writers just want to be alone in a room reading. And that's not me at all. And actually, I first got into journalism because I wanted to talk to people and bop around, and see the world. And so I feel it on both ends. When I've been alone too long, I totally feel that need to be around people. When I've been around people too long, I totally feel that need to go back to my bed and just read.
Okay. So it's only 4 years ago when you learned you had ADHD. What was going on then that led you to that diagnosis?
Oh my gosh. Okay. So I had interviewed an expert on ADHD for a book that I was helping ghostwrite. And we got to chatting about distraction. And he said, it sounds like you might have ADHD, but I didn't have the money to get tested at that time. It was the year I was writing my book. And so I just took like an online quiz and it was like high likelihood of ADHD. But because I thought that ADHD just meant you were easily distracted, I was like, okay, ha ha ha, I have ADHD, whatever. And then it was years later that I was still just struggling. I had an assistant at that point, and I just told her, like, let's try to get to the bottom of this. Let's figure this out. And then when I went back to look at the place to get tested that this expert had suggested, it was the Hollowell Center, which was named after him, Ned Hollowell. And I was like, wow, I really should have listened to him. He clearly knew what he was doing. So when I got my test, he
you
was
were
like,
helping
yeah.
you were helping him write one of his books?
No, I was interviewing him for another
Oh,
book.
gotcha. Okay.
And so yeah, when I got tested, they were like, "Oh, we don't often get 20 out of 20." I'm like, "Cool." So, perfect score.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. And then we look back over on the post where I had first posted for a virtual assistant, and it's like a rundown of ADHD, just like everything I needed someone's help with. It was ridiculous.
Interesting. And so what has changed for you since?
Oh my gosh. I mean, I used to say, what the heck is wrong with me? Then I would say, I don't know why, but I need a lot of help. And then I would say, I don't know why I need a lot of help, but I give it to myself. Now I'm able to say, I have ADHD. I get myself the accommodations I need. And, someone did just kind of shame me about having a scheduler and having, and because I also really struggle with personal finance. I just have such a hard time seeing the forest for the trees. I have a really hard time with impulse spending. It just feels impossible. And she was like, well, I noticed when we had our meeting, you had someone else schedule it. She's like, I don't have trouble paying my bills and I don't have someone scheduling my meetings for me. And I was just like, and I just said, well, I have ADHD.
Somebody actually said that to you?
Yeah. But she didn't know I had ADHD.
But still.
But I said, well, I have ADHD. So
that's just a bunch of gross ableism right there. Whether or not they realize that, they're talking to someone who is neurodivergent.
It is. And that's something I've struggled with is what is a luxury and what is accommodation, especially in travel. I notice when I travel with other people who have access to luxury items, a lot of them are very nice accommodations. Like if you have, is it misophonia where noises bother you? Well, luxury spaces are often quieter. They give you more personal space. And so you're like, okay, if I get the lounge at the airport, is that an accommodation or is that a luxury? And when you struggle with getting into debt, it's really hard. We can write all these different stories about the same thing and come up with different conclusions.
Years ago, one of the keynotes at one of the ADHD conferences kind of tongue in cheek said, there is a cure for ADHD. it's just lots and lots of money, because then you can just pay for all the things, like the people to do the scheduling, to do your laundry, to do your cooking, all those things that we tend to struggle with.
Yeah, seriously. I have kind of come to that conclusion of like, when I raise my prices, I'm like, money's how I take care of myself.
Yeah, I relate to like all of that. When you're flying, because you're just mentioning the airport, do you ever request a board of passengers with disabilities?
No.
I do every time.
You do?
I do. And I'm telling you, it's because I do need it, because I need more time to get myself settled. If you were to just watch me, it's funny because I used to joke saying when I go to the airport, I go from ADHD to autistic. I joke because I actually was just recently diagnosed with autism. So I was like, oh, it's just that environment put me over the edge, and like all of my sensory issues and like overwhelm. Yeah. And I would say it's not just helpful for me. It's honestly helpful for anyone who has to sit by me.
Wow.
Because otherwise I'm up and I'm down and I'm like getting readjusted and like, oh, do I want this in the seat pocket? Do I want that? Yeah. So it's like, please just give me extra time. And
what do you say to them when you get on? What you just say, I have a disability?
I say I need extra time.
Wow.
That's all. Because they technically they can't even ask you for what reason.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's so interesting.
The only downside is then you can't also get the emergency seat with the extra room. So,
okay.
So those trade-offs,
Yeah, that's my accommodation I usually give myself. I'm like, and I just, it was so funny. I had this essay that I started, I need to finish it, about like how I love to travel alone, because then no one can see how terribly I travel. And like, I travel a lot. It's a big identifier and I suck at it. I'm losing things all over the place. I immediately get like 2 separate grocery bags in addition to my luggage. Stuff's falling out. People are like, ma'am, you dropped this. Ma'am, you have money falling out of your purse. Like, it's terrible. But that also has helped me adjust to other cultures where like I feel lost all the time. Like I went traveling with a friend who's like really on it and type A, and like she could not deal. We were in a country where like she couldn't even recognize the symbols of the letters, and like she kept just kind of shutting down and being like, I need to go back to the hotel room. And I was like, oh, ADHD has given me this, like, I'm used to feeling lost and like I don't understand what the heck's going on all the time. So it's made me a really great traveler in that way.
Oh, Paulette, you may have just bursted a bubble of mine. I've always said that if I had to travel frequently, I think that I would be better at it because I would develop systems. But you're telling me that no, it might just always be a struggle.
I have an amazing packing, like it's called the ultimate packing list spreadsheet. I love Excel because Excel is the brain I was born without, which I have always said without knowing that I had ADHD. And it's got columns, it's got filters, it's amazing. So you do develop systems. It's like anything. It's like missing that thing last night, that I was late. I was half an hour late to something last night that I planned. And I'm like, it's never going to be fixed. It's like if you have crutches because you have a leg that is very weak, or, it's never going to be fully fixed. We're only going to manage it better and better. It's like I get migraines when I hike almost every time, but I'm like, I'm not going to stop hiking.
Huh.
I get exertion migraines if it's really hot. Like I often get a migraine if I hike, but it's still worth the view.
You had said a little bit ago that there's an article you're working on that you still need to finish. And that's kind of what we want to be talking about today. So how to finish anything. So let's get into this 6 elements for how to finish anything.
So great. I love it. I'm really excited about this. I've been writing for 20 years and I finally was like, I've been teaching and writing and I know I have this system and I just need to sit down and articulate it. And I finally did. So it is an acronym for finish. And the first letter is for fake stakes. So you need to feel an emotion about whatever you're doing. If you want to write something and you don't have an answer to the question, what would happen if I didn't write today? What are you probably going to do? You're not going to write today. You're not going to work on it, right? But if you know, oh, my writing coach is waiting for it, or I'm taking this class, I have a workshop, I signed up for an open mic night. When I decided to be a creative writer in Peace Corps, the first thing I did was sign up for our talent show, our little talent show, but it's in front of 200 people and adorable. There's like an adult talent show. I loved it. And I had 3 months and I worked on that thing every single day because I was kind of terrified that I was going to read something in front of 200 people. And it rocked. And I finished it and it rocked. It was amazing.
That's awesome.
So you can do anything from public accountability, telling people what you're going to do, using shame for your, we know shame, right? Using shame for your benefit. You can use the fact that you paid someone or you have some kind of monetary skin in the game, or you can just have some kind of social element where you're trading with someone else, or you don't want to let someone down that you really admire.
So it's another form of sort of engineered urgency.
Engineered urgency, exactly. Yeah.
All right. So fake stakes.
Fake stakes. The second one is increment. So if you're writing a book and I am writing a book, I'm writing a novel, it is huge and terrifying. I'm very comfortable in the nonfiction space. I can write you an essay all day long. My novel, I'm like, I don't know, but I finished my 4th draft and like we're about to be done with this book, which is fantastic. So what I did last year is I didn't say I'm writing the next draft of my book. I said I need to edit and rewrite 500 words a day. So 500 words a day, 500 words a day. What that does is it gives you that little dopamine hit every single day of like, bing, I did it. You have the dopamine, you have the trust that you are going to complete this thing in the long term because you did today's short term. And if you don't get it done, you have a new goal for the next day. Okay, can I do 1,000 words tomorrow? So having those increments is really important.
And when you're having those sort of those days when the ADHD is winning and all of those intentions just stay as intentions and don't turn into actions, what do you do with that in the realm of increments? Do you do it a smaller amount or what? Like, what do you do?
Yes, I'm a really big fan of that. I had a boyfriend in college who he was a jogger. I was absolutely not. But I would try to go jogging with him and he would say, he's like, do your slowest old man jog. Don't stop. Just do the tiniest little old man jog you can do. And so I often ask my coaching students, what is the smallest thread you can hang on to still be touching your work? Sometimes it's literally open the document and read what you have or read a page.
That's great.
So often that just gets you over the hump.
Okay. So we got fake stakes. We got increment.
So the next one huge for us is nix. So nixing distractions. I don't have a TV in my house. I watch TV on my laptop. It is sad and not that fun. When I really want to watch something like White Lotus, I watch it on my laptop. I don't really love it. I watch like Colbert, and like the goofball stuff, but I don't really watch a lot of TV because it's not that comfortable. It's not that great. I've nixed TV from my life in a lot of ways. I used to be a really big couch potato when I was young. Oh my gosh. And what can you do to get distractions away from you? I'm a really big fan of the Freedom app, which is an app that blocks social media or whatever apps tend to distract you. And until a certain time, right? Where you're like, okay, this isn't a distraction if I'm on it for 15 minutes a day. It is a distraction if I'm on it nonstop. And I'm at a point right now where I haven't been using the Freedom app. And I'm like, oh, I've got to get back on because I feel that itch back anytime, literally like waiting for the elevator, Instagram. Red light, Instagram. It's like, oh my gosh, it's this terrible distraction. And nixing distractions can also mean prioritizing. What is the one thing you are doing right now? What is the project that you are most focused on finishing and saying everything else can be later? This is the 1 to 3. That's what I do. Like I have 3 projects that I'm working on right now until they're completed.
I don't know if you're familiar with Alan Brown. He's an ADHD coach because he'll talk about when he's focusing on one thing. If he starts looking at anything that's not that one thing, he says, that's BS and that's not what I'm working on right now.
You know what I've started to do is to take a Post-it note and like what I'm working on right this minute, I put it on the top of my computer. I'm not a fan of Post-it notes as reminders because they're to call your attention, but I'm like, this calls my attention back to, this is the thing. It's like the marquee now showing Paulette is answering emails.
So Paulette, that's half of a strategy that I often will use and suggest for others. The other half of it is having another sticky note on the corner of the screen to tell you what you're not doing.
I like that.
Especially if you feel like what you described as like that itch to like do that thing. If you like are sitting down to do a task that even maybe like there's been some resistance to, and there's also some like that in that little voice in your head is like, just check Instagram, just 5 minutes. And you know that's BS, because it's like, it's never just 5 minutes. Right. But no Instagram on the other sticky note. It's about raising the intentionality and then not having to use that working memory by externalizing that intention.
Yeah, absolutely. I had a label on I'm a big fan of label makers also. They're very fun. I had a label on my phone that said there's no time for BS.
Do you have a label on your label maker that says label maker?
No, but now I need one.
I feel like half the people listening who have label makers are like, oh, I feel so seen. All right. So what we're going to do, so we have fake stakes, we have increment, we have nixing distractions. What we're going to do right now, though, is take a quick break. And when we come back, we will finish the acronym.
Dun, dun, dun.
We will be right back. If you're listening to this and thinking, I need support, but I'm not sure I can actually follow through, I want you to hear this. ADHD reWired's coaching and accountability groups are not light touch coaching. This is an intensive program. We meet 3 times a week because ADHD doesn't wait a full week to fall apart. Real life happens on a Tuesday. And having support spaced throughout the week is a game changer. What makes this work isn't willpower. It's structure, accountability, and being in a room with people who actually understand how your brain works with a lot of radical acceptance and 0 judgment. And instead of me trying to convince you, here are a couple of voices from members of our most recent season of coaching groups.
The secret special sauce is accountability, attention, structure, intention, and this program provides all of that. It's working and it feels good.
The top 3 has been really helpful. A lot of days I only accomplish my top 3, but I accomplished at least one of them every day, and I accomplished all 3 a lot of days, and it just helped give me direction to my day. Before this group, I probably 2 to 3 days a week wasted hours binge watching TV to avoid thinking about things that stressed me out. And now I do not use TV to avoid anymore.
I realized that I'm not bad, I'm not wrong, I'm not defective, and that I just have a condition with my brain that I can learn to work with.
I learned that I'm not alone, and I learned that I'm right about needing others. So for me to function at my best, I really need others, and I need structure, and I need accountability, and I need understanding.
If you're ready, your next step is pre-registration. It takes about 20 to 30 minutes. Watch the 15-minute overview video, take the short quiz, and then send me a 45-second intro video. After that, I'll follow up with next steps and make sure it's a good fit. Registration events coming up Thursday, January 22nd and 29th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, and Friday, January 23rd and 30th at 11:30 a.m. Eastern. Groups begin the first week in February, so don't wait. To attend Thursday night's registration events, pre-registration is due 4:30 p.m. Eastern on Thursday. To attend Friday morning's events, pre-registration is due Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern. All the details are at coachingrewired.com. Add your name to the interest list. That's coachingrewired.com.
If you're thinking about joining, absolutely, just do it. It's a big deal.
Don't wait. Go now. That's coachingrewired.com. All right, we are back. So just to remind everyone what we were just talking about, we are talking with Paulette Perhach, and we're talking about the acronym FINISH, which is the idea of 6 elements to finish anything. And so far we got the F is fake stakes. The I is increment or breaking it down. The N is nix distractions or just prioritize one thing. All right, let's keep on moving. What's next?
Well, this is one that we ADHDers know and love, which is to immerse yourself in your projects. So we love a good hyper focus. And I think we often think about it in the moment, but I've developed some habits that have really helped me find focus. And that includes what I call a writer's refresh every week. And that is a weekly meeting with myself to just do the admin, the things that are important but not urgent. So, for example, looking over my inbox for any of those starred emails, right? We love starring for later, saving for later, starring for later. This is the later. Looking at all my projects, basically just taking a step back from the chaos and planning. And when I've done that and it's Monday morning, I have on the Friday before done my writer's refresh, which means I looked over my entire week. I made sure my schedule was humanly possible. Then I know that at 7 a.m, when I have my novel writing time, I am safe to truly immerse in that hyper focus, right? I'm not worried about unanswered emails. I'm not worried that I forgot about a certain project. I have done these high level planning tasks that really help me feel like I can immerse in my project. To me, that also feels like setting aside a time and a space where, for example, if you're living with people in your family, they know like this is your what we call cave time. Like my sister will see me writing when we're on vacation. She's like, "Are you in the cave?" And so she'll know that like either I'm in the cave or I'm not in the cave.
Okay. So, and that kind of sounds a bit like sort of the other side of the sort of Nick's distractions by sort of addressing all those other things that are kind of like, they're kind of like the thorns that need to be getting our attention, but that like while we're trying to work on writing, like having those random reminders in our mind about those things is just distracting. So it's creating that place to focus on the admin stuff so you know it's taken care of. And let me ask you this, because I always find it interesting when someone has a day of the week set aside for admin stuff. I think about those days where it's just like, no matter what our intentions were, no matter how important certain things were, we're having a bad brain day.
Yeah.
What do you do when your admin day that you only do once a week happens on a bad brain day?
I can do like a full on writer's refresh can take 2 hours. I can do a quick one, a minimum in about half an hour, right? Where it's like really looking at, I think it's that prioritize and execute. I really love Jocko Willink. He wrote Discipline is Freedom. He's like the opposite human from me.
Is he like the military guy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He's a former Navy SEAL. And I think that really helps me come back from what's a nice to have and what's a must do today. So saying, oh my God, I'm not getting all this done. Okay. Do I really need to do? So for example, I always like to have a lot of learning on my calendar, personal development. And, some weeks that has to go. Like we're not studying communication this week because I'm about to cry because I might miss a deadline and I'm really freaked out. I think it's really just about giving yourself grace and not shooting yourself with what Buddhists would call the second arrow of the self-flagellation and the blame.
Okay. So it's about getting back up.
Yeah.
Right.
We'll get to that later in the acronym as well.
Oh, okay. Accidental foreshadowing. All right. So then we have the S.
The S stands for share, and that's about being in community. We know with ADHD that body doubling is huge.
Yep.
And it's so funny because at my house when I was growing up, we had such a hard time keeping it clean because we were like an ADHD team. And at my best friend's house, I helped them clean, was practically living there, and they would all clean together. They would blast music and all clean together. And I'm like, I have since tried to recreate that because it works so well for me. With ADHD, I think sharing is essential. We need that body doubling. We need that social element, community. So that's why I love to run communities and help people really find who are their writing buddies,
That's awesome. I know that for listeners, we have our adult study hall community where we have once a week, we have a write with me session, but I know that you also have a community.
Fantastic.
That's specifically for writers that does
Yeah.
this, right? That's very cool. Do you ever feel like a sense of that you don't want to share, even though it's helpful?
I feel like sharing is when you're sharing a positive, you have someone to celebrate with you. When you're sharing a negative, you have someone to commiserate with you. There are some things that feel like too close to the bone to share.
Yeah.
And sometimes I say like, okay, is this something that's private or am I just being a wuss? Like I teach a class called Posing Naked on the Page about vulnerability.
Ooh.
And twice it has happened that a student has written about something that I could relate to and I thought was beyond what I would be willing to write about. And I was like, ooh, I'm being called out right now. Right. So I think we all need to decide, is this shame-based or is it just that I decide this is what's private? But I think anytime you're sharing something vulnerable, it's a gift to the person reading it. Like I have a story out right now. If it gets accepted, I'm going to be like, oh no. I don't want anyone to know that.
I definitely have been there many of times. I mean, even just the fact that over the last several years, really since like 2020, when, I started going through my divorce and then, years following, there was just a lot of stuff that I was dealing with that like I was still in process and wasn't ready to share. I had like feedback saying, you used to share more of yourself earlier. I'm like, yeah, because I feel like I have a fairly decent boundary of what's okay for me to share when I'm ready to and what am I not ready to share yet. And so it's kind of recently I've been coming out more talking about some of these things, but I think there are I think healthy boundaries in any form of expression are important. And I think especially as neurodivergent people, our filter doesn't always filter.
Oh, girl.
Right. I mean, and, it's like, oh, yeah, I'll slide it out. And it's one of the things that I love about the ADHD community is like small talk. It's like, oh my God, please no. Like, can we just get into the meat? Could we get into this?
What'd you cry about last?
Exactly.
I didn't realize this, and I didn't even think about it. And it didn't hit me until I did my ADHD for writers class. And we all get on there and I was like, oh, this is the first time I've been in a space where every single person has ADHD. I didn't even think about what that would feel like. And it was like, whew, everyone take your bras off. Like, like your whatever metaphor, here your ADHD is your boobs. The mask is the bra. We were all just,
oh my God. I love that. I love that so much. And that is the share. So we're sharing ourselves, we're sharing space, we're sharing time, we're sharing effort, we're sharing ideas.
And I think holding space for other people is so wonderful too. So many times in my communities, people will really share something that's so hard. And then someone else will know a book, or it just kind of feels sacred in a way to have someone come to you and be like, can I be like 10 notches more human than we're allowed to be normally, and just even if you're not sharing, like the reception of that is also so beautiful.
I've been doing a lot of sort of exploration around the idea of masking and unmasking. Mm-hmm. And it's sort of like once you've like learned to unmask, you can't go back because it's so constraining and feels so like inauthentic.
Yeah. But it's so hard too, because it's been uncomfortable for some people. Some people don't want to hear about it.
Yeah.
Or think it's an excuse.
Well, fuck those people. I think we have a real issue of empathy in our world right now. I'd rather spend the time and energy sharing vulnerably with those who can at least try to see another perspective. Mm. All right. So we got, that was share. So what is the next one?
So the H is for hype.
Hype.
And this is about managing your mental and emotional state and hyping yourself back up. So I woke up the other morning with a lot of anxiety and I was supposed to be writing my book. And I'm like, there's no way I'm going to create literature right now. So I moved gym time up. I'm only one workout away from feeling better. I always know I'm only one meditation away from feeling better. And what are the things you need to do? So for me, it definitely is like exercise, meditation, positive self-talk. I remember being in my 20s and oh my gosh, my anxiety was like at a peak. And someone said, you just need to have self-compassion. You just need to like love yourself. And I just remember like crying even harder and being like, I can't. Like I could not find the space for self-compassion. And it makes me so sad. And it's so funny how I was like, oh, I feel weird talking positive to myself. I'll yell at myself all day long. Like I will, like we only feel weird talking to ourselves if it's positive, which is really bad. So I used to be like, all right, come on, B, let's go. Like, oh my God. I used to think that yelling at myself would make it better. And it's so nice to be in a place where I can be kind to myself and be like, all right, buddy. Yeah, that one didn't go so great, but like, let's get better.
As far as like mental toughness goes, I think it's one of the most badass things that we do is when we are in struggle to have self-compassion towards us. Mm-hmm. It really is, I have found to be one of the only things that can really help. I have yet to find, I've worked with thousands of people, like I have yet to find where beating yourself up has ever helped. Mm-hmm. And so this idea of like, I don't deserve self-compassion. Like I need to like kick my own ass into gear here. It's like, well, how's that been working for you? Mm-hmm. The thought that we don't deserve self-compassion is a thought that is basically, it's a version of shame. And when we are carrying shame, it is virtually impossible to move forward in the world in the way we want to. When we could set that shame down and say, you know what, that is not serving me. That is not helpful for me. That is actually harming me. Here's the things I want to do, despite the fact that there's all these other things that I've struggled with or messed up. Like I can still love myself and I can pick myself up and do the best that I can in that moment. And that's the best that I'm going to do. And being okay with that, even if it's less than what you want, being okay with that, I think is just so, so important. I mentioned earlier that I was recently diagnosed with autism. This was after it was kind of years in the making of exploring this. And the session that I had at the end of my evaluation, the psychologist was sharing the report and the recommendations. I probably like completely shut down like about halfway through that session, which was kind of a surprise to me because I wasn't surprised at all. I knew what he was going to be saying. Because he even told me beforehand, he's like, the report session is just more of a formality. He didn't want to make me wait to know. I was like, okay. So I just kind of been anticipating it. And so I kind of like shut down that day, and it kind of like lingered throughout the rest of the day into the evening. And I was probably around like 9 or 10 o'clock at night. And I was getting ready to play the piano for a little bit. And I had this thought of, I'm 44 years old. I've been autistic my whole life, and I just learned that now. And there was something about that it kind of just felt like, you know, those hugs that like initially you don't want, but then it's just like you melt into it. It kind of felt like one of those. And I felt like since that, it's just like the things that I struggle with, I'm like, you're doing all right. And I find that I can't go back and change anything. All I can do is to take the information that I have now and love myself for it, even if I don't love what's happening. And so I just find that idea of self-compassion, it's so important. No matter what we're going through, you deserve self-compassion. I don't care what thing you did that screwed something up. You're still worthy of self-compassion.
Absolutely. And I think that's also part of the community and this is actually a lot of what my novel is about when you love someone who has the same struggles as you, it helps you love yourself in those struggles.
Ooh, that is so true. That is so true. And it's, you know, why I love doing group and community-based work is, and maybe this is part of my like autistic brain, I love the predictability of certain things. And so when I see people like that are new to ADHD in group, knowing that at the end of group, that they're gonna be like, oh, I didn't realize how helpful group was gonna be. And I'm just like, I did. And I love that you had that transformation. It's because it's so powerful to witness. And to me, that never gets old, because it really is. Because that feeling of being alone and feeling like you're the only one, that sucks.
Yeah.
So hype, the mental, emotional state, focusing on that. All right. So recap, we got fake stakes, increment, nix, immerse, share, and hype. And that's 6 elements you need to finish anything. Now, what if using this acronym was still a struggle? Any other tools that you would suggest? Like maybe I'm lobbing you a softball here, like a piece of software or anything?
Oh, like a piece of software? Well, so I have a software called the Writer's Mission Control Center, and I got it as a way to organize and have in one place everything about my writing life. And what that does is it helps you know what you have. It helps you see your, like, for example, we have a graph of like all the submissions you've done and all your acceptances and all your rejections, so that you can see like, yes, I am submitting, right? You can set goals in that and then see if you are reaching your goals. And, you know, for example, you can, for those of us who get a ton of story ideas, which I think is a lot of ADHD people, you can text in your story ideas to yourself and they will show up in the mission control. So it's really designed to help you kind of capture your writing life on the fly and have it all there. And so, for example, one time someone used our writing session during my group, a very important meeting. And she said, I just had to organize today. And it just really calmed my nervous system. And I was like, oh my gosh, you just got to the heart of what it's really about. It's like having it all there, being able to calm and trust that you have everything in one place.
So how do people find the software?
It's at thewritersmissioncontrolcenter.com.
And if people are interested in learning about the other things that you do, where could they find that?
They can go to pauletteperhach.com.
pauletteperhach.com. And we will put that in the show notes. So if you are like me and would go, well, how do you spell both of those names? Don't worry, we'll put it in the show notes for this episode. So Paulette, thank you so much. This was a lot of fun. And I love this acronym finish. Well, I've been saying for 11 years now, starting is the hardest part. Once you start, finishing is the hardest part. So thank you for this framework. This is really great.
Thank you so much for having me. It was great to talk about ADHD with someone who knows.
I hope you got a lot out of that conversation. Get even more from ADHD Rewired by joining our winter coaching sessions starting the first week in February. See the schedule, check out this season's lower price, learn more, and pre-register, all at coachingrewired.com. Oh, and now 3 and 6 month payment plans are available, subject to T's and C's. That's coachingrewired.com. Or you can co-work with us at adultstudyhall.com. And you can join me every fourth Friday of the month at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 Eastern for our monthly Pomodoro dance party. We'll work for 2 50-minute work blocks, and after each work block, I become DJ Dopamine and serve up 10 minutes of tasty, danceable beats. Come co-work with us. It's only $19.99 a month, or save with an annual membership. And try it free for a week at adultstudyhall.com. Okay, before you go, I just want to leave you with this. If you're someone who's been carrying a lot of shame about not finishing things and starting strong and then falling off, I hope this episode reminded you that you're not broken, you're human, and you're an ADHDer living in a world that wasn't built for your brain. And the goal isn't to become perfectly consistent. The goal is to build the kind of consistency that actually works for us, the kind where you get back up, you re-engage, and you keep going. So if all you do today is one small increment, one tiny step, one open the document kind of move or put on pants kind of move, let that count. Because those are the steps that rebuild self-trust. And if you're tired of doing it alone, come do it with us. We'll hold the structure, the accountability, and the community, while you bring your imperfect, brilliant, trying your best badass self. We'll catch you next time.
Yeah, I'm done.